So, Christian, what is an AI agent exactly? And is it fair to consider, let's say, Siri or ChatGPT to be an AI agent?
Well, hey, Lauren, it's a great question, and I think everyone is just now trying to understand how do I think about these things. Probably the best way I would think about it is everything kind of up until now is a little more of a chatbot and less of an AI agent.
Yeah,
And the world that you look at, there's actually a definition of AI agents that ties into they adapt to the environment or to the process that they're in. So they actually have contextual knowledge, and that changes a lot. So if you think about a chatbot is sort of this chess game where I move and then it moves. We call that a discrete game. An AI agent is playing more of a continuous game, right? So what it's doing is it's trying to understand what are you trying to accomplish, and it's given now abilities to actually act. So a great example would be I might be able to ask a chatbot if there's an airline ticket available to get to New York this week, but it can't buy the ticket. An
right.
agent is going to be able to buy the ticket. So giving it agency, and for everybody, all the economics people out there, really when you think about agency theory, the classic model, that's really what we're saying. We're giving agency to the AI to act on our behalf or on the behalf of a program.
Well, I'm not your economics expert person, Christian. I'm sorry to let you down, but I love it. I love the idea of an agent being able to take that extra step and actually not just give the answer, but do the thing.
Yes.
So actually, you touched on this a little bit, but what's the interplay then between AI agents and search technology? And really, like, why are we talking about this now? What are the big moves we're seeing in agentic AI and the interplay between that and search?
Yeah. Yeah, look, I think that's probably the biggest thing that marketers and business people really have to think about, which is the customer journey has been centered around search for a very long time. And in that process, it's not like Google hasn't been using AI and machine learning for years. The difference, what I think we're going to see here is that the type of question you ask is highly likely to synthesize either conversational AI agent sort of engagements or classic search. So when I say
Mm-hmm.
classic search, if I ask a question like, what time does Wendy's open this weekend in Jacksonville Beach? I don't really want a 20-minute discourse with an agent on why it opens at 8 a.m. That's not what I'm
Don't.
actually looking to do. No, I really don't. On the flip side, if I'm asking for one of my children, is this a good place to get a summer job for a first job as a 15 or 16-year-old? Then it's one of those things, that's a pretty interesting question. And it's going to ask me questions. And so then the idea is the agent goes a whole nother step further. So when we think about search, and people's interest or looking for information, it's real important to think about the fact that there are objective questions, there are subjective questions, there are branded questions, and there are unbranded questions. And if you kind
Mm-hmm.
of think of it in that framework, it's really where search and AI, we're talking about them like they're different things today, like, oh, there's classic search, and it's not going to be. It's all going to merge together. That will happen in the next 6 months. Not saying you can't have a classic search window, but most of the tech that's being built now has this vision towards a synthesis of that the AI is pulling in knowledge and information and will answer you in a search environment just in the appropriate way based on the question.
Right, that makes sense. And so to go further with that, well, actually, you and I had a fun conversation a little bit ago, Christian, where I asked you to make some predictions for things that might happen in 2030. And you were like, 2030, can we just say in 5 years? And then we both realized together that 2030 is in less than 5 years. So, not
Yes,
to
yes.
not to scare anyone here, but how do you think AI agents are reshaping or will, in that very soon looming time frame, reshape customer interactions?
Well, it's already happening. Actually, just a brief time ago, Alexa came out with Alexa Plus, and
Mm-hmm.
that's now where they have 600 million devices in homes and around the world. It's an enormous amount, and so you start thinking about how does that change when I can just have a full blown conversation. And I
Right.
think that we're starting to see things like Siri, Alexa, all these platforms. They are going to now be so imbued with agentic capabilities that the adoption curve is going to accelerate. So
Mm.
today we adopt conversational interfaces like ChatGPT and others because they're easy. It's just you and I having a conversation. But once you add that agent layer, you're going to see this acceleration in adoption because people are literally going to go, wait a second. This thing can make my reservation for dinner on Friday. Amazing. Wait,
Right.
this thing can also text the babysitter. Amazing. And so you start to get into this really the enablement in the real world of what up until this point, search, AI, all of these things were really information seeking or foraging, as we would call it. Now you're talking about, I'm not just foraging, it's helping me cook dinner. Like it's actually ordering the groceries and get into the house. So you really start to get this completely additional theory of adoption once the AI agency kicks in. And so that's probably the biggest part if we're not going to talk about robots in your house, which will be based on the same thing. But that's certainly in the next, I think in the next year. And then putting AI agency into devices like robots is probably the following year where you really see mainstream adoption.
We'll schedule a follow-up for robots in the house. But right now, are there, ways that you see people leveraging this? I know it's early days, but, any kind of agentic AI examples you may see and how they might be able to be adopted for different industries, whether that's fins, healthcare, et cetera.
Yeah, so it's a great question. So first off, I would say it's early, certainly on the agentic side. I don't think it's early on the AI side. For
Right.
many of our customers, our partners, they've been experimenting with this stuff for a while. The agent side is early, but what you're seeing, for example, is Perplexity, which is obviously an AI platform. They're launching a browser, which is kind of
Mm-hmm.
interesting. So instead of browsing using your keyboard and your mouse, you're now talking about this opportunity where I'm just talking to it and it's going and browsing for me and pulling back, all the information or the conversation. That's a form of agency. And
Yeah.
so I think what you initially see is things like deep research. If you haven't tried that on Gemini or in ChatGPT or Grok at this point, one thing people don't realize about Grok 3 that just came out is it actually synthesizes all of the real-time data in Twitter. So whereas a lot of these other tools, they're still doing the crawl indexed information, that is not happening. The agent inside of Grok, what makes it special is it's pulling in all the real-time data. So I was on a flight from London home last Saturday. When I landed, I just said to Grok, hey, I've been on a flight for 5 hours. What happened? And it literally synthesized everything that I missed. That's pretty
Wow.
wild. So you're seeing those, and those are big wins. I don't see a ton in the brands and the businesses and in any particular industry, but I would say I think it's really close and people should be targeting that this year.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I mean, we've got to talk about it, especially, as it relates to Yext. What is the importance then for brands of knowledge graphs when it comes to getting ready for agentic AI? So we're saying like it's happening, now's the moment. You got to get your stuff together. What do knowledge graphs have to do with it, and how does agentic AI use the knowledge graph to operate intelligently?
Yes. So number one, as we always like to say here, your AI strategy is really just your data strategy, and it's because all these AI agentic tools, they're going to need your data as a business or a brand, and so
Mm-hmm.
by getting your data into a highly structured level in a knowledge graph, that's actually the best way to feed this data to these machines. And I'll give you a really quick example, which is when we think about going to a healthcare professional. A lot of people choose their healthcare professional by things like where they went to school, what insurance they take, all these things that have nothing to do with how close the doctor is. And so
Mm-hmm.
rather than search classically sort of listing information, if you feed that data in a graph format to AI, it's a lot easier and it has much less compute power than if you feed it a 9-page biography about the doctor and it has to parse out the structure itself. So when it
Right.
comes to agentic, what we ideally want to do is agents will make connections between graphs. So instead of it being just about recall or retrieval augmented generation, now we're talking about this doctor takes this insurance at this location with this availability for this procedure. The agents will walk between the knowledge graphs to create that connective tissue that creates a far better experience if you're the human talking to the AI agent. So the knowledge graph is a phenomenal structure in order to get your data ready for all of these things.
Right. Can you talk us through, you kind of did a little bit, but like a specific example of in the near future, something you see someone doing? Like, would I go to my AI agent and be like, my knee hurts. I need, a doctor that takes this, and then that would go look, talk us through that, what it looks like for the consumer, and then what the agent would go do and look at in your structured data
Yes.
to return that
Yeah.
answer.
So
And
why don't we take a different example? So we'll take an example of my 10-year-old is going to a birthday party and I don't know what to get a 10-year-old or whatever it may be. When you're talking to the AI, you say, hey, listen, I'm late. I got to get a gift for a 10-year-old birthday party. It's a 10-year-old boy. What's really popular right now? What could I get? And it opens the browser and it goes and it starts searching all of the information on what's popular. So it's going to check what we would call subjective sites first, right? So it's going to check like ratings and reviews of type things. It might also ask me a question. Like, what is the child into? Are they into Legos or Star Wars? So what you'll see is this interplay between the human and the AI will prompt you. We call it inverse prompting, where everybody thinks about humans prompting the AI. Well, we're already past that. Now the AI will prompt the human so it can better serve you. Now, once we're there, it's going to say, okay, I'm going to forward the directions to a toy store that has this toy in stock because it went to the knowledge graph and pulled that back and knows it's there. You can even buy it, so you just pick it up, walk into the store. You can buy it if you got your credit card information, again, linked via a graph or an API. You get to the next part. It can send to your car the destination to the nav machine. So what's happening is the best way to think about it is everything I need to do, it's just making it easier by lining it up. But that is all done by it being able to access knowledge or even personal information to help line up the dots so that you can get it done faster. And so that's another example of something I think you will really see is both the retail journey, the health journey, the financial services. All of these are going to start to be able to leverage this type of agency. And it's really just going to come down to who hooks it up faster and makes it easier. But I don't think you're going to see this where one company did it great. You're actually going to see many companies with prepared knowledge graphs of data connecting to tons of different applications so that the AI agents can get everything done.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that leads up to my kind of second to last question there, which is along the lines of basically, how do brands know whether an AI agent is right for them? What are the considerations? And whether or not an agent is right for them, then what do they need to be doing now to get started on all this?
Yeah, so first off, I think there are a lot of both regulatory and compliance questions that you need to think about. Number one, if you're in a highly regulated industry, you've got to think through what does this do? Because when you provide agency to something, meaning you are allowing it to act on your behalf, that has ramifications. So not an attorney, I would say you have to start there. First, think about what is the aperture of risk that you're willing to work within and whether or not it's regulated. But beyond that, what I would actually tell you is, I don't think you're gonna have to do anything. The reality is whether you're ready for it or not, the most dominant traffic you're gonna have to your website within the next 18 months are agents, not humans. And so what's gonna start happening is you've got to prepare that even if you don't act, my agent, whether it's Amazon provided or ChatGPT, whatever it is, my agent is coming to your digital information. And so you've got to look at it as, what can you feed the agents, even from an information structured data perspective, that even if you're not putting out an agent, the agents that are coming to your classic architectures are really able to get the right answers. Because I think the secret to all this is, if an agent fails to get the knowledge it needs from your business to answer the consumer's questions, it's going to remember that, and it's not coming back. It's not coming back because if it fails the human gets mad at the agent, and now you're like, I'm going to switch agents. So you really are in this with them. You need to prepare them with all of the information you can so that there's a good outcome. But just like showing up in search is a constant battle of updating your data and improving and expanding it, that is only going to rapidly expand with agents and with AI in general.
So it's all about the data hygiene, and that's the best way to go ahead and get started today is to be thinking about how you structure and manage that data so that it can be fresh syndicated to every endpoint, an LLM, et cetera, would look at.
That is absolutely how it's certainly what I recommend. It's certainly also what I think many in the industry are recommending. But another way to think about it too is a lot of people are sort of worried, like, how do I optimize for AI agents? Here's the good part. They don't have access to stuff that you're not already doing. So if you're using like listings products where you push out data to these AI companies, which we do, obviously, when you do that, you're feeding them your data. Your website, it's feeding them data. Your social posts, it's feeding them data. And your reviews, they're feeding them data. So those four quadrants, it's not like the AI is a different strategy. The reality is those four quadrants create the signal in market, and you should focus and double down on making those great structured signals go out. And that's why it's to us, If you get that in order, you're going to be fine with AI.
Right. Awesome. Well, I guess lastly, we have to admit that this event is actually pretty timely for us here with our recent news that kind of has to do with agentic AI. So to wrap up, Christian, do you want to share what we announced at Yext this week?
So this week we announced Scout, and Scout is our agent in the excellent sense of the word that goes out and scouts your competition. And it looks at not only your data, but the data of dozens of your competition within every single market by keyword, by topic. And what it's doing is it's analyzing your website and all of their websites. It's analyzing your social posts and your social presence and all of their social presence. It's analyzing your data in listings products, and it's analyzing the review platforms. And what it does is it gives you insight into what am I doing that maybe my competition isn't, or if competition is beating me, what can I learn about what they're doing across hundreds of data points? So it really starts to build an ability for us at Yext to help our clients and partners identify the opportunities to win in a highly competitive digital market.
Love it. Lots happening internally and externally with agentic AI, as you can see. So thank you so much, Christian. It is always great talking with you, and I hope we get to do it again soon.
Excellent. Thanks, Lauren.